but I have read some of the stuff about you. And yeah, I'm more than happy to have you on, and I want to get at where you're at. I don't give a crap about who else it is that you're identifying with, because I'm not a Trump fan. If you listen to the show, you know I'm not a Trump guy.
No, you
Uh,
bring up valid points. I mean, I don't disagree with the stuff y'all say too. Y'all raise valid points, and I agree with it. The reason I'm running, sir, is because I just can't sit back while this country. Are we allowed to use profane language?
yeah, because I don't have the well, we could. This is the last show I'm going to be able to send to my AM and FM affiliates. So
Okay, well, I won't use profane language. I
it,
just can't sit back while this country gets screwed, and I want to cause another, I call it, in air quotes, you can't see, we're not recording, the 2016 effect. When we come and we just overwhelm, we can get a 2016 result. And there was just no yardstick to measure. The Democrats didn't know how to cheat. Now they do, you know.
right, right.
Um, but
Well, well,
yeah,
what I want to focus on though is you, okay? Because I don't care about your party even. I want to talk about what your ideas are, and the basis is this. Look, if you think that, and this is what I'm going to say to the audience basically, is if you think everything is okay, then you're actually the crazy one. If you think you need to change something, or you think you need to reinforce the status quo, then this is, something that might be a valid reason to step into the political arena, right? But the people that think that everything is all right and that nothing needs to be done, they're the problem. So I realize that you're somebody who wants to get active. For this reason is why I've had on everything from like a damn near a socialist to a libertarian to, well, again, the libertarian candidate for governor in New York, but they kicked him off the ballot. Okay. Um, every stripe is valid to me if they have the right ideas and the desire to serve the people.
yeah,
So, but I want you to talk about you and your perspective. I don't want to get into the whole, well, identify yourself with the party or none of that. I want to talk about you and where it is that you see that something needs to be done. I want you to tell me about that. Okay.
yes, sir.
All right. Excellent. So I'm going to bring us back around. You'll hear a few things on your side. It might be a little loud and obnoxious, but it'll go away quick.
Mhm.
And I'll basically reintroduce the hour. We do have the option to take a break at a half, but we don't have to, because I'm not adhering to the. I could give a damn about these fuckers and their formats anymore. I'm so pissed off that they booted me off of there and YouTube, same week. Uh,
I was trying to repost your stuff, and my mind was blown. I spread you as often as possible, and I'm not trying to kiss your ass.
no, look, and I appreciate that. But even independent candidates for president and all kinds of stuff, who a lot of people have asked to come on, and I don't usually have people that are running for office on. When I do, there's a reason for it. So I think you're going to reveal that in in a quick minute. So you ready to go?
Yeah, I appreciate the leap of faith.
All right, brother. Let's see if we can do something better. Just anything better, for God's sake. That's all I want. Okay, sorry, man. I'm just talking out loud. Okay, we'll be live on my stream and the radio apps and all that, but and the replay for the AM and FM will happen on Saturday or Sunday, depending.
Okay.
So, okay, here we go.
Ochelli.com.
Revelation through conversation.
Get ready for the Ochelli effect.
Third segment of the Ochelli Effect begins now at Ochelli.com and all your favorite radio apps that you might be catching us on. But of course, the majority of you do capture it via your Final Slab of choice, your applicable application, and all that good stuff through the podcast. So no matter who you are, where you are, when you are, welcome. And this is the third segment of the show tonight. Now, I don't often have political candidates on the show. And the reason is, look, I'm going to be even more brutal about this than I was explaining it to this gentleman in the break. The fact is, most of them wind up coming up quite despicable to me. They are not there to serve the people. They are not there to serve the people's interests. And I mean everything from dog catcher to president. Okay. I analyze politics, but the game of politics and the nonsense that I think we've been inundated with over the past, well, my whole life, yeah, I'm sick and tired of most of it. But once in a while, and you can count them, it probably take both hands, you can count them all. When somebody's been running for office and I've actually brought them on the show because, wait, they might have had something valid to say. Okay. That is the case with my guest right now, who actually actively sought to come on the show. Okay. Despite what I told you guys about the mayor of my own town agreeing and then deciding he didn't want to step into this with me. Okay. And other things. Okay. And I don't care what office you think you're running for. I don't care what party. Because if you didn't notice, there have been Republicans, Democrats, libertarians, and even, that woman from the Transhumanist Party that I brought on, right? Rachel Haywire. If they're interesting to the point of they're crazy, that might be fun. If they have something valid to say that I think needs to be heard because you know what? They could actually improve the situation, much like the gentleman who got kicked off the ballot in New York for the governor's race. Sure, I would have loved to have seen that. Much like Ted Metz, who was the candidate for governor here in Georgia a couple years ago. The Abrams race where she claims still she had it stolen from her. And I've tried to explain several times. If Abrams wins this time, by the way, I will not argue with a single person who tells me that every election is stolen for the next 10 years or so, because it's impossible for that woman to win unless the game is completely rigged. But here's the thing. I think that there is still a chance that we can honestly elect and select some people that might actually look to serve our interests. Now, long introduction, and I promise to shut up a lot because I want to find out who this gentleman is even more. I've read about him a bit. I've seen him on social media. I understand what he's running for, but I want him to explain it. Well, I have one of my dogs making noise in the back. I want him to explain it to you, and I want to just basically throw the platform open because, yeah, I got a slightly educated guess that we're going to hear something that needs to be heard out of this gentleman tonight. So how is that for an introduction, sir?
I sincerely appreciate it. Listen, Chuck, it's an honor to be on your show. I listened to all your episodes with the Greek. I would promote it heavily. I was just, my mind was blown whenever I saw that you were taken off YouTube. I hate to say that I can relate. I'm beyond happy to be here, sir. So whatever, if you just want to ask the questions, I will immediately respond.
Well, let's get to the basics because, look, I know who you are, but the listener doesn't. So I'm going to give you a fresh opportunity. Hey, who is this guy? Where is he running for office? What is his, your basic background information, this kind of thing. You present it your way. You're introducing yourself, and we do have listeners in the area where you're running. I know that they're mostly podcast listeners, but, in case they haven't heard of you before, here's your chance to give them the fresh introduction. No literature, none of that. You can give out your website and all when we're done and tell people how they can find you on Facebook and whatever else. But just introduce yourself.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that intro, Chuck. My name's Alexander Michael John. I go by Zan for short. So Zan John, that's what will be appearing on the ballot. I also ran in 2020 for United States Senate. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana. I was born in Crowley. I have 11 years to the day of oil and gas production background here in Louisiana offshore and around the Gulf Coast. I've been to law school, wine school, and military school. I joined the Freemasons in 2010 thinking I was going to blow the lid off some sort of conspiracy. And in fact, I was very underwhelmed. I am still a Mason, though I'm not active. I don't see how there's, I don't know, some sort of conspiracy with that. Even the Greek kind of scoffs and is like, yeah, they don't get much credit. But I just, anyway, I'm trying to think about me. I'm just a normal guy that just, I can't stand. I've always been the guy that got in trouble for not shutting up. Not that I was one that talked too much, but when I saw any form of injustice, I was like, hell no. I'd rather bite the bullet and pay whatever repercussions and just say what's up. I was at Texas Petroleum for 11 years to the day. They were killing guys out in White Lake and Hackberry and covering it up. I'm the guy that knew too much. And what blew my mind is as I got older, seeing people I looked up to look the other way when there was wrongdoing, it just never sat right with me. And it started at Texas Petroleum, and then when I was in law school, seeing how people just cower and don't even learn the law, and just everyone virtue signals. And I mean, you just cannot get into higher education or college nowadays, especially if you're not a leftist. I'm not trying to go on that political rant. I know you want to just know about me. Man, I love to eat big steaks. I love fine wine. I'm an expert in wine. I'm a huge fan of you. I'm a huge fan of the Greek. Every time you or the Greek reach out to me, it's just such an honor. And I'm not trying to kiss your butt, man. I appreciate learning and people that think outside the box. To me, what you and the Greek offer is the education everyone should be getting in early adulthood at latest, but starting as around, just a teenager. Y'all offer the education that would set people free and wake up the masses and reinstate the idea of this free and sovereign nation, America. Too many people are giving politicians or just people doing wrong to them, NGOs, whatever it may be, or just, a top heavy corporate, HR that's out of control, the privilege of their silence. I could go on forever. Just ask me another question that's specific. I'll happily answer, sir.
We're gonna get into specifics here, and he's real easy to find because not too many people's names begin with an X online. So XAN, you can find him that way. Zan, that's how it's pronounced. But either way, and I didn't even realize that that I had reached out to you before. I've seen your name and I've read about you a little bit, but it was just in passing. I always try and take a look at these things. Which I don't think you mentioned exactly the office in specifically what you're running for this time.
Okay, I was trying to stay away from politics. In 2020, I ran for United States Senate against Bill Cassidy. This year, I'm running for United States Senate because in Louisiana, our Senate terms are staggered 4 and 2. Next year, I'll be running for governor here in the state of Louisiana. So that's 3 offices back to back.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to make it clear. And again, you'll appear on the ballot as Zan John. So, regardless, you gave your full legal name too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's interesting to me that you also have a background in the petroleum industry.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're a regular listener of the show, then you know that I also, had a little bit of experience working for Exxon and this kind of thing. I was more on the retail side of stuff, and quite honestly, didn't want to make a living doing that anymore because it was just, just a really corrupt kind of sickly thing to deal with all the time. For me, I realize that everybody makes their moral contracts in life, and some people, ignore the morality of a lot of things. But you had a need to, to not just sit there and shut up and ignore everything.
Well, I reflect on myself. I think, okay, am I going to be another guy that sat back and did nothing? I think about myself. I listen to your show and I listen to the Greek. I know I keep coming back to that. And it makes me think, what I don't know and what happens after I die. And it's like, I want to be able to reflect on myself on my deathbed or at night when I'm in deep thought and not be disgusted with myself. I can't get over people just going along with something that is self-destructive. If it's not linear, productive thought, I can't go along with it. I can't subscribe to it. And I don't care if the whole world turns against me. I can't go along with it. Right now that I'm an outspoken, conservative person, my life sucks. I can't get a job anywhere. I mean, I'm living off savings from when I was unjustly terminated from Texas Petroleum. I mean, this is no way to live. Now, listen, some people have it a lot worse. And like the Greek said, hey, you got a place to sleep. You got food on the table. You ain't living that bad. So the Greek, he didn't want to hear what the hell I had to say about that. So I'm not going to have a pity party about myself. But I just feel more people should do this. And it just blows my mind how many people say they can't stand politics or this or that, but they don't at least try. I'm not saying running for office is the end all be all cure all. It's just one form to take action,
So let me ask you, what inspired you to first do that? Because you could have just sat back with your job and again got along to get along. Uh,
Yeah, I
why,
made the age requirement. It was that simple. I always, as a young kid, I always wanted to be like my dad and my uncle. I wanted to be a big bottle popping, Bentley riding pimp that everyone looked at. And I thought having a company, starting a steakhouse, having a winery, and running for office would be a great way to do that. But then, even keeping the same goals in mind, the it became more altruistic. Instead of doing it to be flashy or this or that, I'm sorry, I'm extremely materialistic, but I did it because, well, here's the deal. How do I say this? Let me back up. Look at what it's cost me to run. I've lost tons of friends, been censored. I can't find a job. So I still have these same goals, but the reasonings behind it have shifted. Um, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Forgive me, y'all. I'm improv. I don't have anything written down. Forgive me if it doesn't flow.
no, it's okay. Look, we don't work with a script here, and
Yeah, yeah.
neither does life, so it's all right.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the thing. All right, so you come from this background. You obviously had some opportunities that maybe some other people didn't have. What are the specific? Obviously, you're not trying to make a presidential run at the moment. You're obviously interested in the problems that are specific to your state. Okay, so what are the problems specific to Louisiana? I mean, I'm living in Georgia now. I know you can tell by my accent,
I
but
went to Riverside Military Academy in North Georgia over there, and I spent a lot of time in Hot Atlanta at the corner of a Peachtree and Lenox Square Mall. But yes, I'll just name two instead of going on a rant. Here we go. Here's one thing: this state produces the most glyphosate in the world at our factories here in the Mississippi, which I want to get rid of for obvious reasons. I'm sure people that listen, I don't have to go into that. And secondly, Bill Gates has the largest amount of farmland out here. He has just at 70,000 acres. So there's two big problems right there that are just, to me, Louisiana integrity shattering.
well, right. And, I almost moved to Louisiana at one point. To be honest with you, I had made a mistake. This is a great little tidbit, but I made a mistake that cost my boss a bunch of money, which caused me a lot of heartbreak for some months. But what happened is I ended up being more with an independent person working in the fuel industry. And you know what we were supposed to do is take over a set of gas stations and stuff like that. Guess where? In exactly the spot where Katrina wound up wiping out a huge portion of everything, right? And right before that happened is when I cost this guy that deal, which initially was seen as a terrible thing that I had done.
Gosh,
And later it was like, you might have just saved all of our lives because we would have been right where.
Chuck, how do you feel about that kind of stuff? Is that like manifesting? Is that like, you think that's real stuff? Do you think it's just straight up just dumb luck? Or like, I'm sorry to sidebar about that, but like when things like that happen, I'm trying to make sense of it.
Well, I have mixed feelings about it, to be honest with you, because on occasion it's just I was feeling terrible about it because it did cost a lot of money. I stood to make money personally. There was all kinds of things wrapped into it, and initially, like I said, it was a whole bunch of people that I was working with in a smaller private company as opposed to the larger working for ExxonMobil. Which again, I'm telling you, it was dehumanizing working with ExxonMobil. So I stayed in the same business and tried to make a living, and it cost everybody a lot up front. But then within like 60 days is when Katrina hit, and it was like, oh, wait a minute, we would have been there.
October 2005. Wow,
Yeah,
wow, wow. So back it up again. August 2005. Wow.
And in that summer, the deal was ready to go, and I scuttled it by making a mistake. But it was all my responsibility, and people were pointing fingers at me, saying, how much I lost, my whole retirement, this and that was going to be based on this. We were going to make all this money, taking over. It was a series of shell stations that were all going to be basically given to us for a song. Okay. And it was just seen as a massive money generator that we had a great opportunity to pick up collectively. And I would have ended up owning like a handful of these things myself. Right. And it was like, well, and then where we would have placed ourselves living wise and everything, we were right there. So remember the shell stations that were present in '05 and all the damage that went in those areas that were around them. That's what we would have been living through. And I was in New Jersey at the time, so it was a big move and all this stuff that was planned, and I screwed it all up. And then it was sort of like, well, I think we can forgive him now uh, for all this money that we potentially should have made.
A guy I worked with offshore, Jeff Gates at Main Pass 35, his sister, huge liberal, worked in New Jersey for ExxonMobil as a librarian. Turns out they have a big, I don't know, thing. And he's like, yeah, she's a damn librarian, like master degree, liberal, Subaru driving in New Jersey, working for ExxonMobil, librarian.
Yeah, she probably worked at the headquarters in Linden.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's making sense now. Because when he first told me, I was like, what? But I mean, you can't make up that kind of stuff.
No, they have a massive training facility and a headquarters there in Linden, New Jersey that nobody ever talks about because everybody thinks of it being headquartered in Texas, which that is the main headquarters. But that's a pretty significant place to work for there up north. That's where they would send us all the time for, the new upgrades, and you had to get trained by the manufacturers of the new technologies when they came out, like the speed passes and all that. Because and now how do we deal with it next time something happens like September 11th, because all the credit card business got all screwed up that day.
Don't get me started on that. I hate that event. It's such a joke.
Well, I was going to get into that later, and I will.
No, we can. Yeah, it's just I have a lot to say about that.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, actually. So, because I was there trying to get onto the island when they shut it down, because initially it was I wanted to go and help dig people out. As crazy as that sounds, it was just they were taking volunteers from everywhere. But anyway, we'll put that aside because I want to focus on you.
Yeah.
So the problems you have here, come from the obvious, corporate domination of an area. I'm sure you have the Amazon, the big placements of the warehouses and how that's worked out for people. I mean, economically, we're looking at a horrible situation here that even though people are going to lay it completely at the feet of Joe Biden, okay, and the Democrats and all that, quite honestly, it's been a collective effort, okay? And it didn't happen overnight, this situation we find ourselves in. So, with the larger corporations coming in and being able to scoop up, a lot of places in states like Louisiana, in states like Georgia, in places that were sort of underdeveloped or maybe had been economically challenged before, they come in with these new opportunities and they turn out to not exactly have the silver lining in the clouds, right? So that's going on, and you want to change that equation, but I have a feeling that there are much larger issues that you simply can't sit by and watch happen as the status quo continues to have its mission creep on us all. What are the real serious things that you feel like I personally will go into a different direction from what has been done before? What are the other key issues?
Oh, the Federal Reserve for sure, and the fact that Biden's a puppet, Fetterman's a puppet. I need to be heavily armed and have a whole lot of security guards around me at all time, and I need to make sure that they can't be gotten to. I gotta constantly be on watch that way I don't get suicided, or get swatted at night. I need to proclaim these things from a safe distance. I've never backed down to anything. I don't say that in a pompous way. I'm not trying to beat on my chest or break an arm, whatting myself off. But I'm just allergic to BS, and I just can't be another cog in the wheel. I think it all starts at the Federal Reserve. This inflationary stuff. Everyone's being controlled with money, and the Federal Reserve literally was put in place unjustly. It's a private bank, and I just want to start with that. I mean, to me, it's like, okay, do I want to spread out all of my time and attention on a bunch of little issues, or like I just want to hyper focus on one or two things? Yeah, I'm gonna talk a lot of crap, about my opponents and how everyone goes along with the same thing. And I'm gonna get blackballed, and I'm gonna get talked bad about. They're gonna make up stuff. They're gonna try and stage and plant stuff. They're gonna try and constantly kill me, but I'm not gonna stop. And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But I want to hyper focus and actually crush things. So like I would dedicate all my time and attention, should I be in office, on the Federal Reserve, just constantly busting its butt, bam, 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 and just making sure I don't get killed every night when I rest my head. I want to be live all the time on social media. I want people to follow me around constantly. I want a bunch of different camera angles on me, because I'm gonna get a lot of heat. But I just, hopefully I paved the way for people that, and a lot of the talk and stuff you'll say is right. I mean, like, our vote really doesn't matter to an extent, but also too, though, we can come together, we can manifest, and we can overwhelm. And that's what I'm holding on to. And I got to get this message out. I can't be another loser that groveled and knuckled under. Not that I'm better. Anyway, well, go ahead.
No problem. But I want to know how. And by the way, I'm suspending the break here. We're not going to go to break unless we come to a need for it later. So here's what we're going to do. I want to know specifically. Okay, you are the senator from Louisiana, or you're the governor from Louisiana at this point, right? Let's just say you're absolutely successful. What is the first order of business? I mean, look, the Federal Reserve. I get it. You're right. It's great.
You know what, I need to surround myself by. See, God, can I look? Whatever you say. Trump couldn't be gotten to. Okay, he was surrounded by Jared Kushner, all these people. Okay, and Trump is a dumb butt in certain ways. But I want to surround myself with people like you. I want the Greek to finally reveal himself. I need the people and the context that I made in these 2 years of 2020 when I when I spoke out against the whole COVID narrative and everything. I want to surround myself with a good cabinet of altruistic people, and I want good information siphoned to me all the time. I want to be listening to your show. I want to be active with you. I'm not going to drop all my context. If anything, I want to keep all the people that was friends with me back when I was broke down and had nothing around me. I don't want to make all these new friends. I don't trust them. I've had people screw me over for things back when I was making tons of money. I had all these new friends, and guess what? None of them are around me. Okay? Chuck, you were a real friend, even though we're not that close. I don't feel you would ever lead me astray. I really don't. Nor the Greek, nor a couple other people. I need to have people close to me, and I just want to call shots, and I want to get things done, and I want to call everyone else out. People can call me out. I don't care. I'm not perfect. I'm obsessed with good food, and yeah. Anyway.
Well, let me make sure I understand this. What you want to do is create a legitimate brain trust of individuals and get the best advice you can together from people that you recognize as having the analytical strength.
Yes.
To confront every single thing. And it might not start with the Federal Reserve, even though that's going to be a primary thing on your mind. I mean, there might be stuff on your desk right away. Let's go to it, for instance, right? It is possible that they could, again, try and introduce another wave of this ridiculous, COVID 1984 situation. All right.
Yeah.
And look, I spoke about it just a little bit and got hit all over the place. It cost me money. It cost me platforms, you name it. And all I did effectively, even though I got to tell you, my passions run a lot hotter than what I said on this show. All I did was say, do you trust the pharmaceutical companies that presented you with this and this and this, which we know about publicly? Do you believe for a moment that there could have been ethical and ethical testing of this stuff?
Much flack, you're over the target. That's the thing, and we can question these things. They want us stomped out. They want like a little opposition here, crushed, a little opposition here, there, crushed. Hopefully people realize that this counter movement of just normal logic isn't gaining, it isn't slowing down and can speed up. And the more people speak out, it's kind of like, this is so silly, but the movie A Bug's Life, there's 12 grasshoppers and like 100 something odd ants. Their propaganda and constant crushing us and censoring us would be unnecessary if they had this in the bag. They would just wipe us out. We wouldn't even be breathing right now. They as in the powers that shouldn't be. Every time I say they, I mean the powers that shouldn't be. So I just feel that you and I, we help legitimize it, and hopefully we give other people steam to carry the torch and to join us. Not that you and I have it all figured out. We're just trying to figure things out. We're just putting our feelers out there, So We just want others to join in, and eventually we can turn the tide, and take control back and just have normal, logical, linear progression of society.
Well, how did the COVID policies affect people in Louisiana? Because I've stated on this show, people said, oh, this is the way it is nationally. And I said, you know what? That is the most ridiculous statement I ever heard, because every region seemed to have a different orientation toward this, right? In Georgia, it was virtually ignored, except I'll tell you that there was a segment of the population which immediately became submissive to whatever edict was released, right? There were people that were voluntarily wearing masks, even though they weren't really enforcing it publicly. There were people right away running to go get the vaccinations, even though it wasn't being enforced heavily here in Georgia. Now, you live in New York, that's not your experience. You live in Pennsylvania, that's not your experience. Texas, whole different animal. California, completely different animal. And I'm not even going to go there. But the point is, how did this affect the people in Louisiana? And what are your thoughts on what should have been done and should not have been done regarding coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever it is you want to call it?
Well, it was mind-blowing to see how many people cowered, people that I looked up to. That was a big turning point in my life. I knew that the story was BS. I wasn't about to fall for it. Seeing judges, lawyers, all these people that I wanted to be like, I was like, wow, I can't stand you. I have no respect for you. It really recalibrated things, and it really made me become more of a lone wolf. I knew the whole thing was a joke. It was the biggest torture test for me to see people cower with such a lack of evidence because of herd mentality. And it truly separated the boys from men to me. There's plexiglass up everywhere. There's people drumming around with masks. Now people wear masks. It's just a sign of, their slavery. It's a sign of like, I'm anti-Trump, I'm anti-America. Now it's worn as a virtue signal. I just always knew better. I thought it was the dumbest thing, I just couldn't get over it. The effects here, you still see some plexiglass up some places, but it was just insane how people would just comply just to get back, to air quote normal life. But the thing is no amount of subservience, no amount of compliance will bring about, bring us back to our freedoms. To me, there's nothing more than, obvious that a country is ready to be invaded than people wearing masks for no reason. Now
I'm going to unfairly ask a question here, so get ready for it. Thing is, look, we could talk about the root of the problem being the Federal Reserve. We could talk about, the way that the entire, U.S. dollar system. Okay, I don't know. That's the most generous description I can give it. We could talk about how that's loaded, how that is actually prepared in order to perpetuate slavery. Sure, but let me ask you, what would be the immediate thing outside of confronting that you think you could address? Because I guarantee you, people in Louisiana, just like people in Georgia and everywhere, are right now, their primary problems have to do with their inability to keep up with the cost of things. What would be one of the first things that you would try to do if you were elected as a senator or governor? Pick one, doesn't matter. Either way, I want to know, what is your first idea?
Energy. I want to just get rid. I'm just going to yank out, and I don't care if I get in trouble, any solar panels and wind, anything around here. We need to drill. I come from oil and gas. I mean, that we could just produce for ourselves and refine it ourselves here in the state of Louisiana and be self-sufficient. I just can't go along with all this crap. I mean, we have the resources to be energy independent. That's one thing.
So energy independence might be one of the first things, let's do it at home and not have to worry about the international market because we produce it ourselves. This would be the kind of thing, if I'm a resident of Louisiana, that would be the specific thing that you would address right away.
Land interdependence. That's such a World Economic Trilateral CFR thing. They love interdependence. One country can't get too powerful. You'll all have to trade with only China can do the rare minerals, and only America can do this, and only Denmark can do that. They love to do that. They don't think in national sovereignty and nations and borders.
Right. Okay. Well, now here's another question though. What about the fact that, there's a lot of people that would be lagging behind, right? Because no matter what you did regarding energy independence, there's going to be some growing pains there, right? You'd obviously have to deal with, and I don't even know what the circumstances are with the power companies, the energy companies that are very much dominating the state of Louisiana. I claim ignorance there. I can tell you all about what's happening with your electrical and gas providers here in Georgia. I could tell you about a couple other states, but I don't know what it is we can do with these energy providers who have absolutely hijacked so much at this point in the economy. In my mind, it's not just the government's malfeasance, but the frankly, it's the corporate greed that has come at a very interesting time where it just seems like we're getting ratcheted down.
Lack of morals. Yeah. I really don't have a plan for that. I'm not about to BS you. I don't know what to do other than just call them out. I don't know what to do. Tell people to be, I don't know, energy independent. Create. I saw some interesting things on YouTube. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of a gasifier, but you can just use any sort of biomass and create energy and power things just like a gas engine. And it's quite simple and it's straightforward. That's really cool if people want to look into a gasifier.
Well, and another thing you brought up was solar panels. And I'm curious about that because I would think that solar panels could be part of an energy independence when it comes to, stuff like, again, providing energy to your home, right? This sort of thing. Don't you think that in some ways that could be integrated into energy independence?
And they buy it back. And they're so toxic that they're not even made in this country. So I'm kind of in between. I understand that, but the more you dive into solar panels, you realize they're not that great based on what I know now. And I'm not trying to, you say red, I say blue. I'm not trying to rebut you like that. I don't like to rebut you.
No. It's not a problem. I'm asking the question because it occurs to me. It's an honest question, because I think to myself, if I were to install these things on my home and then decouple myself somewhat from the power companies, if I'm allowed to do it.
You're not allowed to. Look into that. That's the thing. You would think you're allowed to. There's laws passed and ordinances and stuff. It has to be tied into the grid, or you face fines and charges or this or that. Look into that.
But see, if you're the governor of Louisiana, couldn't you take?
You're right. Oh my God, what am I thinking? Yeah, I would make it to where you can do that.
Well, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. And in that way, wouldn't you be able to, and I'm just taking a small point here and trying to run with it. I mean, you would have the flexibility in your mind to say, okay, look, if we can take and use these things and maybe even manufacture them here instead of getting them from China and whatever else. How about if you encouraged a program like that? Maybe in that way, that would be good if people weren't being penalized for not feeding the larger corporate entity, which, these things have monopolies. I mean, how many choices do you have in an energy company where you live? I don't know. I'm asking out of pure ignorance.
I don't. All you can do here is use LUS fiber and Atmos for your natural gas here in Lafayette proper.
Right. So if you were the governor of Louisiana, you might be able to either create an executive order or have some influence over the laws so that could change. And who knows what might happen to the price? I mean, that could indeed affect the price. I mean, the way I understand it, I mean, maybe I'm a little ignorant on this, but I'm thinking to myself, if you created a situation where competition was encouraged, that might bring down the price. You got more than one place to go to.
Yeah.
Well, somebody can't just absolutely raise their rates whenever and however they feel like and get away with it because they're going to lose customers.
Yeah.
So, I'm just thinking there are ways that this could be done, and I'm not saying I'm an expert or anything. It's just a random thought of mine.
Protect myself. People are going to try and kill me. I need to be surrounded by guns, and people need to know that I can't be gotten to.
Right. So, and there's another issue is what about people's personal freedoms? Now, a lot of people that identify themselves as conservatives often have a whole lot of moral clauses. Okay. And I believe in the concept of non-aggression, which often gets me into arguments with the Greek, believe it or not, where, even privately, where I just say, look, as far as I'm concerned, my freedoms end, basically where yours begin. So long as I am not exercising something where somebody else's will is being taken from them, where their ability to make their decision is being taken from them. If I'm not encroaching upon you, I think the law, I think the state, I think nobody has any business in my business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know that's a little more libertarian than some conservatives want to go, but what about your stances on things like that? Do you have, I don't
I
know.
really agree with what you said.
Okay.
Yeah. It's logical.
It's funny in my chat room. Somebody said, "Are you ready to elect Zan?" The guy's asking is from Michigan, so he can't. But anyway, I just wanted
Well,
to point that out.
and I said hello real quick. I'm a big believer in shout outs and this and that. I don't like to look when people reach out and comment on anything I do. I always try and friend them, text them back, say, hey, here's my number. And look, I'll get my number out online, on air. I don't care. 337-581-7333. Call me, text me. I'm here to hear you out, to get along with you. I'm here to connect with you. So,
And I would say, especially people who live in Louisiana that might have the opportunity to vote for you. So yeah, if you want to give out that number, go ahead to actually type it into the Skype and I'll attach it to the show notes. And,
I'm such an amateur. Do I go down to chat? I'm sorry for being so ignorant.
no problem. I'll explain it to you afterwards. No problem.
Okay, sounds
Anyway,
good.
back to it. So all right, we've gone over the morals clauses. It seems to me like you're not looking to come in and create some sort of moral wave, which is another thing that has bothered me recently. Quite honestly, is the people that think that they can enforce their value system through the political game. Now, I get that there are certain values that need to be adhered to. Like I'd really like to see a lot less corruption and pay for play, because again, most people that end up occupying an office seem to not listen to the people that don't have the money, that don't have the pack, that don't have.
That scares me. I want the exact opposite. Sorry to interrupt you.
Go,
No, I'll just be another cog in the wheel. Again, I want to completely surround myself with good old boys that work offshore. I want them to bring their shotguns and hang around me and just guard me. I'm going to be a bully. I'm going to bust my way into places with a whole bunch of armed people. If people don't like that, they can get effed. I'm going to have a huge target on my back because I'm going to be bringing about change and inspiring people to think. And I'm going to have a lot of people that can't handle the reality of what I'm saying because it goes against all the artificial feedback they're getting from MSNBC and all these mainstream shows. So you better believe there's going to be a lot of people with crazy blue hair that identify as they, them, or this or that. They're going to want to throw acid on my face, that are going to spray paint my house. I mean, there's no limit to what they're going to try and do. Okay. And that's just the people. Imagine the bureaus that have the money to constantly tap my stuff. They're probably listening right now. I mean, not to sound paranoid. It's just, I want to be surrounded by good old country boys and people that think for themselves. I want them to all be heavily armed, and I want them around me all the time. I don't even need to be away when I'm going to the bathroom. Someone can be by me. I don't care.
All right. Well, again, I'll present to you another thing. So we've tackled the, what would you do first and foremost as far as financial stuff goes, and you think that energy is at the forefront of that. What do you think about our current situation regarding food and things like this? There are places where, again, choice is not necessarily available. They're siphoning a lot of crap into the food supply, if you will.
Microplastics. Yeah, they want to put vaccines in plants and make you eat it. We have to watch out for Bill Gates and all of his stuff, all this impossible foods. Bill Gates, these people that mess with little children and love adrenochrome and that born into the occult, like they couldn't even escape it. I mean, people like Bill Gates, he had no choice but to do these kinds of things and be messed with as a child. And they project their self-loathing onto us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, food is medicine, and if you just eat the right things and take in tons of turmeric and purple sea moss, look at Dr. Seppi, and hell, talk to the Greek. The Greek could tell you what to do. And who else are some good doctors? He's a big mainstream guy. I kind of like him. What's his name? Doctor. There's Dr. Ben Rich.
Okay.
And then there's another mainstream doctor. He's always talking about fasting, how that's good for you.
Yeah,
Clean
if
up
you
the-
get into, but if you get into office, you realize that there are people that are basically confronted with no choice. Okay, in Louisiana, in every state in the union, there are people that basically, all there is crap for them to eat. What is it that you could do immediately?
I'm just not following. Just give me one example of someone that just has crap, like a prisoner or something.
No, 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 not just prisoners. I mean, look, in a city like I live in Macon, Georgia. Okay,
Oh, I know exactly where that is. Wow. Okay, I had buddies I went to military school with from there. Okay, sorry, I got excited.
no, no problem. But Macon, Georgia, if you take a look at what's available for somebody to get to without having to drive many different places and move around a lot,
Okay, now I know what you mean. If
you'll
there's only
find,
one market basket somewhere or one Publix somewhere within 50 miles,
yeah.
yeah.
So the thing is, though, that ends up being a very limited, selection of decent things. I mean, they don't encourage farmers markets. They don't encourage a lot of. I mean, we have a few of those things, but believe me, they're far and few between. Even in a state that produces plenty, okay, it's not necessarily available to the people that are living there. It's very hard to find clean food. In other words, okay. And look, economics are economics. You're going to have a limited selection. What would you do to try and assist people that are in that circumstance? Because quite honestly, you're talking to one of them who
So
doesn't.
I don't have that answer. I don't really have a well thought out thing. I mean, I'm
Okay,
trying to get rid of um, these big, agro corporations, Monsanto, Bayer, all this stuff, and I do promote non-GMO, but I mean, God, it's like I want to have an answer for everything, but when I just don't know, Chuck, I'm gonna have to come up with that on the fly or turn to people like you to help me with legislation or ideas. I don't have that all figured out. That seems, that's a legit. Oh God, I don't know. I'm not a BSer. If I don't know, man, I don't
no
know.
problem. No problem at all. I'm just thinking of things that would be immediate problems, right?
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you. I agree, and that's a good point. Look, you're making me grapple with a lot of things that eventually I will face, and so it's nice to go over these. I'm glad I'm realizing now I don't know because now I know I need to look into that, and or people will come up and be like, "Remember when you totally bombed it on Ochelli? And what about this? Well, we could do X, Y, and Z." Be like, you know what? Thanks. So I'm open to figuring it out. I don't look. Hey, if a crackhead comes up to me with a good idea and says something, like I'm down to hear. I don't care what walk of life.
Right.
Help me, help everyone.
A
That's it.
good idea is a good idea. And a matter
That's
of fact,
exactly it.
that brings me to something else here is do you have a viewpoint on cannabis and
Well,
people's freedom to
I'm pro marijuana. I know that Nixon scheduled it a drug in '61 with the UN, who is our unelected overlords. I can't stand them. I'm calling to abolish the UN, WEF, Bilderberg, all that. I don't partake in it because it makes me go crazy because I hold back an extremely strong personality. I'm very, very aggressive. Not that I want to go around hurting people. I don't. It's just like I will. If someone's screwing around, I will crack your head open. Okay. I don't stand for any crap. I'm a bully to bullies. Okay. I'm quick to react. I'll knock your block off. Okay. Now, I'm not the biggest guy. There's guys that know martial arts or bodybuilding that can beat my butt, and I'm sure they could. But I'm quick to react. Don't screw around. F around, and you'll find out real quick with me. So, uh, damn, I lost train of thought. Jesus, what were we saying?
it's okay. I was just saying to you that look, I was curious about what your thoughts were on cannabis.
Yes, that's right. It's a damn plant.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
plant. And
Well,
look,
see,
I'm not even passionate about it. I don't want to be around that stuff. I don't like the way it smells, all this stuff. But like, if someone's blowing dank, that's their thing. You want to be a hemp farmer? Do your thing. I know that big alcohol wants to help keep it illegal because they want you to turn to a 6-pack of Budweiser instead of a joint. And also, too, it would mess up the textile industry. There's a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of industry. It's not that people don't want you to get high. Big medicine doesn't want you to turn to that for its medicinal use. Textiles don't want you to turn to it because it could be made into really strong twine. There's just a wealth of reasons. Okay. And I don't like it, smoking the cannabis bud, but I can respect the hell out of it being, for its other reasons. Medicinal.
And it's got plenty of uses as a medicine. It's got plenty of
Yeah.
uses, And the thing is to me, look, and you've made your position on guns very clear. Guns are tools, and cannabis is a plant, and
Yep.
that's that. You know, they're not. That's another thing though. Is what about the circumstance? Now here comes almost the liberal question. Uh, so bear with me, but there are a lot of politicians that if you get into the office, one of the first things they're going to want you to confront is the issue of violence and crime and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah, I got asked a big question thing about that today. Let me get on my phone. Let me see what it was.
sure.
It was laughable. It was, what's it called? Moms Demand Action Gun Sense Candidate Questionnaire. And so they said, have you ever volunteered with Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense? And I said no. And then they said, have you ever been personally affected by gun violence? And then my response was, yes, every American has. When Obama, Barry Soetoro, and Eric Holder allowed Operation Fast and Furious gun running across our open southern border. Then they asked, and I have screenshots of this if anyone wants to see it. I posted it on my TikTok and Facebook. And then it says, let's see, it says, would you like to provide any additional background for any of your responses? Oh, baby, don't give me the freedom. I said, yes, the founding fathers already hashed out gun rights in 1776. It needs no further discussion. This questionnaire sounds like a liberal and Democrat-funded organization. Remember that, one, that good guys kill bad guys with guns. Two, guns don't kill people, people kill people. And when someone is killed by a hammer, will we restrict all those or ban those? No. And finally, this country has not been invaded yet or treated like Canada/Australia because we have gun rights. So remember that when guns are banned, citizens won't have them, but criminals will.
Right. I mean, and the whole weird sort of virtue signaling thing about, well, this is about mental health. This is about mental health. Every time
They don't,
there's an incident.
man, I'm not soft. And that's the thing. People are not going to get anything by me. I don't play. I will call someone out. I'll go push them down in a legislative session. I don't care. Hell no. They're going to want to keep me out. I do not play around. I do not deal with any BS. I'm not going to sit and be lied to. Hell no. I start losing my cool, man. Hell to the no.
Well,
I'm not going to be played like a fool.
This is the last thing I'm going to be able to get to you with for tonight. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I have a feeling though I'm going to have you back on because
Hey man, I will, Chuck. I am here for you any time, on or off air. If you're ever in Lafayette, Louisiana, you have a home to stay here. I will treat you like a king. Okay.
I appreciate that.
I mean that. Okay.
But I really want to get to this because it
Sure. Yes, squeeze it in. I'm gonna shut up.
Yeah, it bothers me to no end the way that this always gets argued. And I wonder if you're the kind of guy, and I think you are, that might actually decide to confront this the right way.
Okay.
Look, on the one side of the equation, they say, well, this is about mental health, and that's all there is to it. And, we need to, and I always shake my head at this. It's not about mental health, and it's not about the gun. What the problem is that when people are in a position, okay, where the value of life has been reduced to such a degree that it can be easily thrown away over a nothing dispute. Doesn't matter if the gun is present or not. The gun maybe makes it easier, sure, but I am not, on the side of grabbing those or taking them away. They are tools, and in responsible hands, they are tools. End of story. Okay. Problem is that we have a society in which people get so pressurized and begin to feel as though life has no value. Why does it happen more in circumstances where it's a city and this and that? There's all kinds of arguments that go on. Bottom line is this. There has to be a way to address an entire segment of society which is constantly in flux. It ends up grabbing up different people at different times. But when there's desperation, when there is that going on, right, this is what needs to be addressed overall. If the financial end of this is not addressed, if the social end of this is not addressed, if there's not a more healthy way, I guess in a way it is mental health, but I'm not going with the DSM, and I don't believe that psychiatry is a science, okay? But maybe it's part of the equation. What is it that can be done to discourage that kind of thinking where life can be thrown away so easily that it allows people to sign up for, anything between, let's kill each other over a parking space. Let's kill each other over a disrespect on the street. Let's do that. Let's go all in on a war on people that we never heard of, never saw before. All of this, the encouragement of violence in general. How is it that that can be confronted by somebody who is in a position of power? Do you have any idea?
I can make some suggestions while shooting from the hip, sir. You addressed a culture, the thug ghetto culture, which was brought about or exponentially brought about by George Bush Sr. Bringing in tons of drugs with the CIA with Zapata oil offshore so they could skip customs. So he helped bring down society in that way, which led to this fatherless culture, especially for Afro-Americans, which is sad because they were doing so good in the 60s. And that group was chosen to be destroyed by the CIA. Also, too, there's the glorification of all these people that go and shoot them up in schools. And those are a whole bunch of MK Ultra kids that were susceptible. They don't have any good influence in their life. So feds or people, that are contracted with the feds go and play with these kids' minds. And there's only one narrative out there, and that's, guns are bad. And so it makes us want to cling to our guns more. To me, guns are used for hunting, for sport, as in like shooting skeet or things like that, and trap and clays, or for self-defense. If you got to go shoot another man like that over a parking spot, you really have a sensitive ego. Not that I'm perfect at all either. Look, hey, I freak out over crap too, but to pull a gun, I never want to make a permanent. I never want to make have permanent consequences for a temporary emotion. Right. I might step to someone and yell at them, but go and shoot them, no, that's ridiculous. Unless they're trying to like rape my wife or something. You know what I'm saying? Like within reason.
Self-defense is not violence, so that's a different issue.
We view it like that, but a George Soros DA does not. So.
No, fair enough. I was just, look, it's not an easy thing to confront, and it's impossible to do in a minute. So I was just saying that it's one of the things that needs to be considered here is that there has been an encouragement to do this. And it's not just, in the inner city. It's not just among the African-American community. There is this encouragement that life has little value. And I think that there must be a way, and I'm not saying I have the answer, but there must be a way to encourage that to disappear, that life has value, and there must be a way to reinstate that as a core belief, I think. And I'm wondering if there can be leadership from people who occupy offices or from somewhere, anywhere, God help us, how about that? But the fact is, it's not something that can be addressed in a minute. So it was a totally unfair question, but I really appreciate you going through this with me. And I've got 100 more questions, but no more time to work with. So we'll get this out there, though. Tell people where they can go and check out your positions, check out what it is you have to say for themselves. Read it, which will be different than hearing it here tonight and hearing my crazy questions. Maybe there's specifics that people could look at and all that. Where can they go to follow you? And when will they be able to vote for you? All that. Tell them all that in one shot.
So my cell phone number, my gold iPhone 11 or whatever the hell is 337 area code 581-7333. I live in Lafayette, Louisiana. If anyone ever wants to go double date and tear up some big steaks and drink some good Cabernet from California or Bordeaux. Let's see. My TikTok that's on the verge of being banned is Zanjon Official 2. Listen, I want to let everyone know I'm a huge fan of Chuck Ochelli. I believe in him. I believe in the Greek. And also, too, I got to give a huge shout out to Donald Jeffries, who's been on your show. I love that guy. He's a great guy. I'm here for everyone. I want to collaborate with you. If you just have an open mind and you're just, just a normal person, or, it was just such an honor to be on the show. So.
Well, look, I appreciate you taking the time, and we'll definitely give people links to your social media and see what it is we can accomplish. Okay?
Yes, sir. Have a great day, night, Chuck.
Absolutely, sir. Zan, John, everybody, and in the first hour, Mike Swanson. I appreciate all of you for tuning in because, after all, I am merely Ochelli. All of you are indeed the effect. Good night. Okay, we're clear from air.
Cool.
If you could do me a favor, okay, big favor, because as you well know, I'm also kind of visually impaired, so I don't want to make mistakes. If you put in, whatever information you want with the show notes, your links, your number, whatever it is you want, put it there, and I will copy and paste it and put it out there with the data so that it gets out with the show. And where it's being distributed is pretty much everywhere except damn YouTube now. And I'm still allowed to be on Apple and all those other places. So, all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it all right now in the chat.
Excellent. And if you have a particular picture you want used, because I always put out the graphic with the show.
Yeah, I'll send it to you right now, Chuck.
Excellent, man. I appreciate that. Kind of got to run because I got things in front of me here, but
I'm tired. I'm full. I'm ready to go to bed anyway. I'll holler at you later.
awesome. But I want to do this again. So
Yeah,
you
man. Look, I will make time for you. Okay, you just let me know.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.